I never understand why it does that. But there you go. What can I say? Um, so everyone, look, Dan. I can see Dan, uh, the big D, um, waiting to come in. I think the purpose of this is because mainly, um, I think it's important that everyone gets a voice and everyone has a say in their points. My points have been misunderstood many times over the years, over the decade, whatever. And Dan is very controversial, and I think he enjoys being controversial, and I think he gets a kick out of it. Um, so I think what I want to do is I'm going to sort of interrogate him and challenge him as if I would be, as we have done many times before. Good, just us one on one. So I hope I don't upset him too much, but I'm going to bring him in now because it is about being respectful and showing each other respect and agreeing to disagree, which Dan doesn't always do so well. So Dan, tell us about your post today.
Good evening, Jason.
Good evening, Dan.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. And to those that didn't like my post, who's paying you? And to those that did like it, I'm sure they understand what I'm on about. Man, it's just literally, I've not seen my daughter for 3 years now. Just coming up, and it'll be the fourth year this year. I've walked out of court a few times, so obviously I've delayed the process myself because I didn't keep my lid. Granted, but I've been in criminal court before in my life, quite a few times, and I honestly never in my life have I had a bad trial. I've never ever in criminal court. I've never had a bad shout ever, ever.
Right.
So my approach to the family court was, I'll take it to court. I've had great experiences before. I've always had a fair shout. I can't lose. Oh my God, was I wrong? So it's the for me it's still getting my head around the fact that how can something be probable law, which is basically bullshit, and how can something be beyond reasonable doubt in criminal law, which is how it should be. And I'm still being thrown back and forwards in my court case on probable law, and it's just bullshit. And everyone's like, you shouldn't say those things. You should come across like this. Why would I want to? Like, why would I want to come across here? Hello, I'm Walter Smith. I'm a
No, no,
good
no, no.
proper
Okay,
man,
carry on. Yeah, cool.
and I don't have any feelings. And yes, you can say what you like to me, and it's just going to go through me. I mean, I think you'd be pretty sick in the head to be like that the whole time.
I don't think is that we've been working with each other. I've been working with you now for a few months, haven't I? Yeah.
Yeah, and I've had the best results for you, and I ever did a solicitor. But that's another story as well, which was another point I was trying to make, that these solicitors out there, defending people that are alienating their kids, they don't care about your kids. They don't care about me. They don't care about their client. They care about the money. And the longer and the higher the conflict is, like that geezer, with the reply, like him, it is the higher the conflict, the more money they get paid. And the worse things get, the more they get paid. So if you can take your case from being one level to the next four levels above it, that's going to unlock more legal aid. And this is the point that people miss, and they're all like, oh, I've got a friend that he's just had a good result, to be fair to him. Really good result with a solicitor and a barrister. But then did he have a good result? Could he have just done that himself? Because
What did he
I
get?
don't.
What did he get? What did he get?
So he's been through the fact finding here and all that sort of stuff. And it came out, and then she said that he was like taking drugs and this sort of stuff, like they all do. And anyway, so my mate said, right, I said to him, I said, mate, go do the drug test. Just do that. I said, don't agree to sign the parental rights away. I said, sod that, because I made that mistake. And I'm still paying for it now. I said, just hang back. Don't give them everything. Go to the next hearing because they want to take you to the next hearing, and then start negotiating because it's going to give you a bit more of a tool. But anyway, he went in there and he managed to not sign away his parental responsibility. He ended up with like a parental order or something, Jason. I don't really know what it was, to be honest with you, but it wasn't signing his rights over at least. But
No.
he wasn't on the birth certificate. So I was saying to him, look, you need something. And they said, right, well, we're only going to put you. What they said to him last time was, we're only going to put you on the birth certificate if you sign away your parental. If you say that she's going to live with the mum the majority of the time with a live with order. And I said, it's not a case of that being a barter, is it? That you're the dad. It's not a case of, well, if you do this for us, we're let it known that you're the father, because he is the dad.
This is it, right? So what they've done there, what the solicitors have done there, right? Because what you don't know as an individual is to not get on the birth certificate. You'd have to be extreme. Yeah, it has to be extreme. I've never not had a case where they've not been named on the birth certificate, and then that got me looking into other case law. Yeah, and how many times and we've never taken men to court before to get them off of the birth certificate. Yeah. To strip them off their parental responsibility. Now, even when it's been rape and it's been in this case where there's rape and paedophilia and that sort of stuff, that even then the courts are reluctant to take off the parental responsibility. Yeah. So and then if they're that reluctant to take off parental responsibility, how easy is it then to then give parental responsibility? Once you've established that the biological father, once you've established that, you know what, we've all got issues. You're not a paedophile. You're not a fucking. You're not beating. You know, you're a safe person. You're a normal human being. You've got your flaws and warts and all. You're going to get your parental responsibility. But I know that because of what I've studied on the case law and what happens across England and Wales. But I didn't know that back in 2010 or whenever it was, 2013. Yeah. And when you're going into this process, you don't know this shit. You don't know this world that you're walking into. So naturally you're going to be fucking papping it, because you might not get your parental responsibility, and that's as far as you're concerned. You might not get it because you don't know what normally goes on across England and Wales in other courts, because you're just coming into this world. And that's why solicitors charge so much, because it's the fear. That's why family courts charge so much with barristers and everything, because it's fear. You're fighting for your kids, and you don't know what normally happens across England and Wales. When you get months to study what they study for like 5 years.
When you get arrested, right, you get given a was it the duty solicitor? I wouldn't really advise anyone to take a duty solicitor, but you get an option, you know. But at least there's that one person there, and then they say to you, you know, here's your rights. Do you understand your rights? And they give you a sheet with your rights on. I mean, how nice would it be if you went to family court and you got the same thing?
Yeah.
Do you know your rights in family law? Do you sod?
No, but the thing is, I know the rights within family. The family court, I do believe that if when used properly and to protect the children, yeah, they're fit for purpose. Yeah, they're fit for purpose. If the children are at risk and the mum's at risk, then absolutely the system is fit for purpose. It works how it should work, right? However, there's too many people who manipulate the system because it allows them to do it. Yeah. And not only do the individuals manipulate the system because it allows them to do it, the solicitors manipulate the system because it allows them to do it, because they manipulate their clients. They create conflict out of nothing. So I've got a number of cases.
I watched it the other day with my friend's. Like, so I was in court with him. His girlfriend was on the other side. Honestly, right, I don't think Mick might, you know, probably going to disagree with me, but I don't believe that, you know, taking the mickey out of it or whatever. But I don't think she was that bad. But then I knew the barrister that was on her side because she's been against me before and she slaughtered me. And she made her worse than she was. We went out of court for an adjournment, went back in, and all of a sudden, you know, there's more things on the table. I want X, Y, and Z. And it's just like, but you're right, that's what they're paid to do. And now she's managed to delay that case for another 3 months, which got them back in court where they all got paid again. You saw the stuff with the barristers that they were going to start striking, weren't they, on the news and stuff, saying, "Oh, we're not getting enough money," and everyone was like, "God, they're mad, aren't they, these barristers?" But like I said to you, Jace, like you get clients and they should be paying for your travel and stuff, because it's bloody expensive going to Newcastle when you live in London.
Well, no, you know, that's included in my cost. That's included in what I
I still think you should charge more, and this is what the barrister's saying. You know, we've got to stay overnight in a hotel sometimes, X, Y, Z.
Yeah, but the difference between this is the thing. Even when I qualify to be a solicitor or paralegal, I am never going to be that. I'm not going to cut. I'm not cut like that. So I do what I do because I love helping the people that I'm helping. Yeah, and I like people like you. There's loads of people. Me, I like seeing change in me. Yeah, I look at me today, and I'm not the same person as I was 10 years ago. I'm a much better person. I'm a much whether confident or believe in myself more, respect myself more. That doesn't mean that I'm arrogant or rude. It means that I'm in a peace. I finally got in a peace.
More rounded.
I like seeing you. I like seeing people like you who are really fiery and tempestuous, and then you go on your journey. And me being part of that journey is a compliment, and there's a massive compliment. I'll take that massively. It's like a massive, huge thing for me. I don't take that for granted. Solicitors and everyone take that for granted. It's very much like mums take for granted, or the resident parents take for granted, the fact that they've got the children with them all the time, which is why the homework stops, which is why they get complacent about stuff, which is why education suffers. Whereas the non-residing parent will always want to be, because you don't get, you're getting your fix of your homework, you're getting your fix of taking them to school, and it's all still fresh and excited and happiness, yeah. But then the resident parent, they're taking it for granted. Same as solicitors take it for granted. Now, what I want to say is, like, you dealing with, you specifically dealt with the solicitors today in a really high conflict way. Because I'm not about that. So I'm very opposite to that, and everyone's misunderstanding what I'm saying by saying roll over and just take it, just take it and just let everything go through you. Because that's not what I'm saying at all. That's not what it's about at all. It's about choosing your arguments. And I think there's a difference between what I do and then fighting every single battle. So what difference did it make today? What did you set out to achieve?
Trying to remember what I wrote now. Do you know what it is though, Jace? I've had a few emails with this guy, and they are personal, aren't they? And it is personal, Jace. And it is. I just can't get my head round someone who would want to protect someone who is a child abuser. I don't get it, because that is what it is.
Okay, but when you say to a woman, when you're saying to the other party, which is in a situation with your ex, she's a woman. So when you're saying to her that she's a child abuser, I think I'm very specifically use that language in statements and whatnot, because I know it's going to get their back up. I know it's going to fire them up, because child abuse is a very firm statement to make, yeah. But that covers a whole wide spectrum of things. So when you're saying a child abuser, they're supporting, they are. But then it's the same principle as with that I'm in with my situation, where Lila's blatantly been abused, yeah, emotionally and psychologically. But then ultimately, it doesn't feel like abuse to her. She's still happy. She's still okay-ish. No one can see the bruising until years to come, until future years it will display. And there's not enough research and support in that to do something, because ultimately, if they take Lila away from her mum, then that's going to piss Lila off, because she loves her mum and she wants a relationship with her mum. If I force Lila to live with me, she's going to get angry at me because she wants to live with her mum. The professionals need to help with the relationship and need to do stuff. And however they're working, because I know they do stuff together and they're working with the professionals together, that's what they need to work on. The easy thing for me to do would be to say, right, I want Lila to live with me, because of my principles, because what I want. But that's not conducive in the best interest of Lila. So I take the suffering, I take the hurt and the pain of making the right decision, because when you make the right decision, it's not an easy decision to make. It's a difficult decision, and it's a painful decision. Yeah, that's the right way. That's how I look at it. So when you are being alleged to be an abusive person, the reason there's so much theatre and private, and it's private, and you say when you get arrested, you get this and this and this, and you know exactly where you stand, because each family, even though the law is the same, each family setup and each family dynamic is different. And although you see similarities in all the cases, yeah, you see similarities in every single case. I can pretty much predict which point and everything's going to go. But the family dynamic within that is different. And that's why it's private, and that's why things are never going to be so square, because you can't. Nothing's ever going to be the same shape. Your fingerprints are different.
Shouldn't be though, should it? They've got to open the courts up, Chase. Because I guarantee you, if they open the courts up, the British public will not part with this shit.
Mate, if they do need to open the courts up, they do need to open the courts up. I agree. I totally agree with that. But then,
and that's what I mean. That's what I mean when I say
that's not where we're at now. That's okay. But you feel so strongly about that, yeah? You feel really, and I feel strongly about it. I totally agree with you.
I just think, like people like Victoria, when you see her, and like, I know she's in so much shit, isn't she? Sometimes with the thing that she says, but like what she's doing, and that Tommy what's his face, like what's that EDL guy, Tommy Robinson or whatever his name is. Mm-hmm. And he did that whole contempt of court thing, didn't he? And he brought it live on TV and stuff. But they hate stuff like that. The system hates stuff like that. Why? Why do you hate being exposed?
Because the system's in the same way as Kanye West, what's happening to Kanye West, and what happens to Andrew Tate, in the same way as what happens to all these people. They control us. They're locking down Oxfordshire. Yeah, they're locking down Oxfordshire. So this is the world we're moving into. But you fighting it, really, you being the big nuclear bomb and fighting it the loudest and being the stamping the foot down the strongest. For me, that's you going about it that way. For me, that's not going to resolve anything. It's going to draw attention to you, when you could be actually doing the same thing, giving the same message using different words and different emotions, and getting there further. Because you can make change to people when you start converting the people that are on the inside, on the other side. And you do that by having the respect, having the conversations.
Yeah, but I feel like that email I sent today, if you start asking these people to take a bit of accountability for their actions, like that geezer earlier,
you can't. That's the thing. You can't.
I'd like them to go to sleep at night and just think about it.
Just because you have an open enough mind to be able to think that way, and you can self-reflect because you are that type of person, you can't force that onto somebody else. You have to live within yourself and know that you are a good person in yourself. And if other good people want to reflect on their behavior and actions, then they should, and they can do. But you can't force that on them. And you can't say because I'm doing it, they have to do it. You need to do it because you want to do it and because it's the right thing to do for you, or not. I mean, look. There's nothing that Matt O'Connor does that was wrong. Yeah, Matt O'Connor is a legend in terms of making statements, in terms of doing really good marketing, in terms of everything that he's done to raise awareness of fathers of justice, right? But then what does, and fathers' rights within family courts, but what does that achieve? What does it actually achieve when you get a case into court? What success has he actually had? None. He almost lost, he almost lost mine because the system, because that's not because it's his fault. It's not his fault. Mate, I can't say, but that's not his fault. But ultimately, you can't, when you're trying to fight a system, you can't, and the system have got your kids, and they've got the one thing that you want is you're fighting for your kids, and they've got control of your kids. If you're going to try and fight the system, then they've got your kids, and they've got the biggest win. You want your kid back. You need to get your kids. So then once you've got your kids and you've got everything settled, that's when you start having the battles and whatnot. I take what I do because, and the price that I do it as, because I like going into court and I like helping people, supporting people, getting to the right conclusions, being confident enough to get through court.
Jace, I know how to win my case. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm never going to win, but anyway, I know how to win.
It's not about winning. It's not about winning. If you go into court about winning and losing, that's the wrong attitude.
But it is. It's what my best result's going to be. I'm going to end up in a contact centre. And it will happen.
Based on the time that you've been away from the child, yeah.
So I was saying to them, let's keep it out of court. Let's mediate.
But why do you think they don't want to mediate? Because if they don't want to meet, because they don't want to give you what you want. They don't want to give you. They know that your angle is. Yeah, they know where you're going to go in. Yeah, so they read you like a book. They read you like, so they know what angle you want to go in on.
But then that takes you to the next stage. It's like, why would you want to stop a kid?
Now you just answered your own question. They're abusing you. She's abusing you. She's emotionally and psychologically abusing you. She's doing things with intent to cause emotional harm and psychological harm, to you. She's doing things that she knows is going to hurt you emotionally and psychologically. So therefore, that's abuse. So when is it going to get recognised? When does she turn from being a victim to being the abuser, the perpetrator? And that's what happens in these cases, because they're playing the victim, and then they get to a certain point, which is where she's at now, and she's now the perpetrator. What you've got to do is you can't react to that. You can't be saying, you've got to let the judge pick it, and the judges will pick it out. The judges, when you get to the end point, when you get there, and there's a pain in the arse getting there, because even when you get there and they're talking, they're doing their summing up, they're going ups and downs, and they're talking about you and slagging you off, and
they're just so biased, aren't they? They're so biased.
They're biased towards the residing parent is what they're biased towards. The residing parent.
Someone else, right?
If that's the man, because generally in most cases I've got clients they've got the kids, they've kept the kids and they've got the kids. Yeah, and they've followed the steps. Even when they follow the steps, they get told to give the kids back. Yeah, there's no woman that's gone to family court and submitted a C-100 at the same time as submitting a non-molestation order. Yeah, because they don't do it because they want to. That there is intent to use a child as a weapon. So any women that I work for, they want the non-mol, they want help with the non-molestation, then in which case, fine. But you need to submit a C-100 with it as well, because I'm not going to work for you otherwise. And that's what they do. They submit a C-100 with it as well. And but then they get condemned in court because that impacts their non-mol, because you're submitting a C-100, but you're putting your non-mol. He's not that scary. So this is where the courts want the conflict. This is where the courts need to be more. How often has a man had a non-molestation in favour of them? Very rarely. Yeah, because when you get a non-molestation on served, it means you're at high risk of life or liberty. Yeah,
I'm not allowed to name names, obviously, but I know a case where a non-molestation was put in, and they signed for it, right? And then they said that they didn't sign for it, So it got overturned.
It doesn't. There's strategy here.
But said person was a male getting it on a female, and that same thing's still not being recognised in court as abuse.
Mate, I've got clients. It's going up and down like that. I've got clients who are communicating on the parenting app. Yeah, they communicate on there, and they're getting abused. They're getting abused on the other side, right? And then they're ignoring the abuse, and they're just carrying on focusing on the children, so they get a little bit more. Then when they say one thing that could be a little bit controversial, but it's still said with a nice heart, with intent of being in love and whatnot, empathetic and whatnot, and they twist it and turn it back on you, because these people are of that behavior, that mindset, that are just not on the same level as you. I think most people that I work for or rub shoulders with are very empathetic, like you are. You're quite an empathetic person. You can read people's body language. You can read what's going to happen based on what and people can, because you wear your heart on your sleeve, you're naturally attracting a certain type of person that's mugging you off and doing you over in your relationships. And your attitude and your approach to this, to them, in some cases, supports them and supports their behaviour in the eyes of the law, I suppose, in some cases. Yeah, because you do we all let our emotions. I mean, when I first went into court, I was doing all sorts of stuff. I was throwing balloons with like purple powder in it around the courts. When I go into East London Family Court now, I still get extra security.
But when you Google your name, it comes up, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Mate, I just think you didn't answer the question. What did you want? What did you set out to achieve when you put that email to the solicitor? What was your intent?
Well, it made me feel better.
That's good.
The thing is, they're so smug, aren't they? And they think they're right all the time. When you present them with facts, they just don't like it, do they? And obviously, there's a few emails before that. I didn't go into that, but and I've proved, and I've got the evidence. I didn't give them the evidence, but I made a point. I've got the evidence, and then they just come back with that bullshit, and it's just like, right, okay,
mate. So in terms of, if you had not sent anything, could that whole of email chain just been like, how do you feel? How did you feel at the end of it? Or did you feel relieved? Did it serve its purpose?
Yeah,
it did. So you felt better as a result, yeah?
Yeah. I'm waiting for the Saki email back, but I won't reply to that one probably. But
so, how much effort is this? Is this a positive energy thing or a negative energy thing?
Well, it's 50-50, isn't it?
Well, you're not smiling right now when you're talking about it. You're not bouncing off the seat. It's causing you stress. It's causing you stress.
It's just disbelief, though, Jay. It's just disbelief, isn't it? It's just, I cannot believe these people get supported. I can't believe that there's funding to legally kidnap your kids. I don't get it. It wouldn't happen in Spain, would it?
Mate, I've got a guy who's lost. He's using barristers and solicitors, and he's lost like 4 houses, his car, everything. Yeah, everything. So, but it's not just you. But it's not just you. It's not just me. It's everyone. So why do people saying stand up and be defiant, blah blah blah?
People spoke about it.
Huh?
If more people spoke about it, it raises.
They're only going to speak about it. They're only going to speak about it when they go through it. The amount of people I speak to that think that people running around in funny costumes, like Batman outfits and whatnot, are silly, and then they have to experience it themselves, and they realise, oh my god, what a fucking mess up the world is. But look, this is private law. Private law is a mess. It's horrible. But then public law, mate, is just as horrible. Yeah, when it's public law and it goes into kids going into foster care, that's evil, mate. That's I've seen cases.
But that's another story though as well, isn't it? They get paid to take kids off of their parents.
Yeah, mate. How many people? I've got so many cases right now, and it's not a fluke. It's whatever. People are saying that's probably how you're leading and you're getting them there. But I'm aware of other cases that I'm not managing that are exactly the same situation. We're doing everything that we're supposed to be. We're taking them off. We're doing everything perfectly. And then the professionals push and push and push, and they actually blatantly in some cases just side with the other side. And it's like where does all this come from? And if it was us doing what we're getting done to us, then they'd be held to pay. That's because they want conflict. People want conflict. People want fire, because then it's going to help, in my view, get them into foster care, get the kids into foster care. I believe that the only reason that people are doing this to clients is because if they can find more conflict out between parents and the professionals, then ultimately you're going to get kids are facing foster care without a doubt. And I've seen at least once a month now, still people with kids that have gone.
The funny thing is, like, even with my case, like I was, I'm still not even allowed to talk about him, but mate, I've been arrested 3 times, yeah, to do with this. I've had an interview under caution. I've had 33 allegations. Right, I've never been charged or convicted.
Okay, I get this. But how long have you going? How long has this? How long has it been? 3.5 years, isn't it? 3.5 years.
5.
5 years. 5 years. But if you hadn't walked out of court that first time, if you could have controlled your emotions.
Now, do you know what it was? My first court case, I didn't really understand, like, that, you know, I got recommended when it was all like said and done the first time. It was contact centre. It's quite a good Section 7, really. Like, me looking back on it now, but obviously because I'd never been through it. You got to remember, I had my daughter, and she was with me every day. I was running a business from home, and she was with me all the time. I'd take her to the auctions with me and stuff. And literally, like, when she left, like, people say to me, "Fuck me, where's your daughter gone? Like, where is she? Like, she was always with you." I was like, "Oh, you know, this has happened." But I didn't, and then I got recommended contact centre. I was like, how can I be going to a contact centre when I've been looking after her full time? And that is why that last court case, that was a final hearing. That was Section 7 going into it. And then
That wouldn't have been the final hearing. That wouldn't have been the final hearing. That would not have been the final hearing.
No, it was. I went into the final hearing. So I had that Section 7. Obviously, like, you know, when the social come around and they you know, they do the Section 7.
Yeah.
Well, I looked at it in such a negative light because I didn't understand it, and B, it was like, wow, contact centre, wow, like, she's you know, like, if you were to put her in a room with me, she'd come straight up to me, you know, and it's even nuts. But now I'm fighting to get into a contact centre.
Mate, but the thing is, right, when you've when you are, I get it because I've got, like, I've been through it and I've done it. I didn't go to a contact centre.
Let me just touch base on that as well, right? So a contact centre, yeah. I'm quite lucky, right? So I run my own business, yeah. So I'm not getting stung like the majority of men out there,
yeah.
Right? Obviously, because I don't earn enough. But contact centre, £65 an hour. Travelling to the contact centre, £500 a month child maintenance. But you've got to see them. Say, like, it's like the weekends. You've got to see them twice a week in a contact centre. Yeah, that's £130 a week, plus £100 a week. So it's £230 a week. You're paying to see your own child in a contact centre with maintenance money. By the way, you've got your own family at home. Doesn't matter about them though. And by the way, you've got to pay the bill. It's just madness, Jace. It's absolute madness.
I can't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. I agree with everything you say. Everything. But the reality is, what is me getting angry about it going to achieve for me?
Yeah, but I just don't think you should let everything go over your head, mate, because the more people
that just don't over my head. Why do you think I help so many people? Why do you think I help so many people? Why do you think I try and do so much for people that even when they've got their money? Why do you think I try and help so many people that would not necessarily even know half the stuff unless I educated them a little bit? Yeah, and I've supported their cases. I help these people because because that's me fighting back to the system. That's me fighting back. What's he done now?
Am I still here?
Yeah, you're still here. Yeah, that's literally me fighting back. That's me doing my thing back, using the system, using my knowledge to help other people, to make sure other people don't suffer as much as they could do. That's better than me being angry about it. That's me. I mean, what's the point? What's going to achieve? Me being angry, and I spent many years being angry, didn't make me feel any good. Didn't make me feel good. I mean, I still look young still now because I've got good skin like that. Yeah, but ultimately, though, the stress that you feel under, the stress that you put yourself under, would aid you. Naturally, it's going to aid you. Naturally, because the amount of stress that it's under. But you've got a choice to make. You've got a choice to make. Do you live that life and be angry and sit in there and sit in your own shit and rub yourself up in it and keep rubbing your shit in your face, and because it makes you feel bad, because it makes you feel awful? Or do you say, do you know what, that's there. Well, I'm going to try and do little things that are going to make a positive impact on people who are experiencing it.
Would you talk about it though, as well, and let people know what you're going through?
Yeah, I talk about it. Mate,
I'm more about that, man. I'm more
we're not
about.
supposed to. When you're going through process, you're not supposed to say anything about it. You could get in trouble. I could get in trouble for talking about your specific case, so you could get in trouble for it. Yes, but I don't think we've mentioned any names. I think it's been quite vague as well. So fuck it. And ultimately, it's good. I think doing this sort of thing is good. I think doing this and raising awareness to people who wouldn't necessarily think about that sort of thing. Yeah, but people, what you need to realize as well.
I'm getting a bit sick of like it's just so bullshit. Oh, you can't talk about that. Oh, but you're fucking me over. But I'm not going to talk about it.
Mate, that's what I mean.
What?
So exactly, this is my point.
Bullshit.
This is my point. So but it's not just you that it happens to. So we know it's going to happen. So we have to deal with it when it happens, and we deal with it, and we make. Because if you would have watched some of the shit that goes on in family courts, if you would have watched that on TV, you'd laugh. If it's like Only Fools and Horses, I'll compare it to Only Fools and Horses, where you got the highs, where it's laughable.
I've got a mate, yeah, and he don't see one of his kids, well, his kid, yeah, and mate, I always used to think he was like, I used to look at him and be like, well, maybe, maybe. Then I met another person. Then I realised I'm going through it myself, and I sit there and go, wow, are you that bad, or is the system just fucked?
The system's fucked. But the system's fucked. But the government don't want to fix it because there's too much money in it. Exactly. Yeah, they'll never fix it. They'll do things to appease people. They want conflict. They want people.
I'll give everyone listening a bit of advice. Yeah, don't like the way your court case went. Stick a seat. Was it C100? Do bloody hell, Jay. C1, isn't it?
C2.
C2, yeah. Stick a C2 in. Vary the order. Get a different judge if you're lucky, and then look at it totally different than the last judge did.
Well, I don't think they do. I don't think they look at it totally different. I don't think it's not totally different always. I think there's a certain type of judge when they're like 50 years old, and they're male or female, it doesn't matter. I prefer female judges managing my cases because if I've got a bloke client, the clients are like, they're like, no, I want a male judge, but the male judges are always harder because the male judges need to prove they're not giving the males preferential treatment, so they're going to give you harder treatment. So the same as the women have to prove they're not giving the women preferential treatment, so they're going to give you better preferential treatment. I think life's full of choices. Yeah, I think life's full of choices, and I think life's full of battles. And I think everything I do I battle with the most amount of trying to see things from other people's perspective. Yeah, trying to see things from other people's perspective, so you can counteract them arguments. But there's nothing in this world that's even worth getting.
I've learned in this process, counteracting people's arguments is just a waste of time anyway.
Well, it's not. Well, it is. Yeah, but especially when you get to the end of the case, and the judge is like, you've got so much evidence on them there. The judge is like, no, we need to hold. The judge will hold the case, any future hearings, to that specific judge. And I've done it many times. They would much rather. The system is set up to support the women, yeah, the mums, because and I put this proof on this, like literally when I was meeting with my daughter's social worker, and my daughter said that she wanted to live with me, and she loved me more than she loved her mum. And when the social worker, Lila told me that she said this, and I said, and the social worker come to me and said it, and I said, look, that's not true. Lila loves her mum as much as she loves me. She's just angry at her mum. Her mum wants to react that way because it's fire and fury. That's up to her. But at least she's open enough to say it. The reality is that the social worker turned around and said, but you don't know how it feels to be a woman and to be a mum and carry that child for 9 months and have your child tell you that they love the dad more than they love you. I'm like, wait a minute, does that give her the right to abuse my daughter? No, it doesn't. But they're trying to protect. They will try and protect, and they will do what they can to maintain that relationship. And I've worked on so many cases, and too many cases now, where they're trying to do the same thing. And I personally get to the point now. I'm at the point where if I ever go back to court, I wouldn't even deal with the professionals. I would just deal with the judge, because
how many years? Oh,
10 years.
How many? I'll swap earphones. Hang on a sec. Hello. That's better.
Yep.
How many years did they protect Epstein for?
Too long. Too many years.
It was only until 2020, wasn't it? He died in 2020, didn't he? So it's around about that period of time. Been abusing kids since 1989.
Yeah.
Women were reporting it, and then it was just getting covered up.
Yeah. Same as Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile.
This family law is just another branch up, mate. That's all it is.
It's the same shit. It's the same cover up. It's the same corruption. It's the same. But they will silence you. They've got more power than you, so they will silence you.
Yeah. Well, so be it then, isn't it?
But then why you do that battle? I mean, I salute you. I doff my cap to you. That's, I mean, anyone that's doing that sort of thing, I doff. But then do it when you've got your kid already, not when you're fighting for your kid.
Yeah, but if you take away the control,
you've got to be.
You've
got to be mate. When the judge said to me, if I don't sort myself out, the judge said to me, if I don't sort myself out, then I won't be seeing my daughter at all. And that was because I was doing all these protests and shit, and I filed for justice, coming to court with me causing trouble.
But him saying that to you, does that benefit your child? No.
Well, in my view, no. In my view, it was it's not right. It's not right. But what can I do about
it? You've got to talk about it, man.
No, I can talk about it. No, but what can I do about it at the time? If I've got no solicitor, I've got no limited knowledge at the time, what can I do about it when the judge says to me, if I don't sort myself out, then I'm going to have no contact at all?
That's just bad, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what she says, and that's why.
Well, you know, what I would have done. I would have put an application to change the district judge. That's what I would have done.
But again, it's taking the argument away from the actual thing. That's the more delay on getting to get into contact.
How are these people?
Because they're deflecting away. So they're giving you that to deflect. Go and argue about that. Go and argue about that. Go and argue about that. And you're taking the time away, and you're getting everything's taken away from the time of your child because you're arguing about everything. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do. We're trying to get to our children. But while we argue about everything along the way, it's just taking longer.
Yeah, but that's how they get you, though, man. Isn't it?
Mate, that's how they get. Exactly how they get you. That's why so many people do it. That's why me saying these things and suggesting these things are so way out there. Because
I don't disagree with what you do. You got a very good formula that gets results.
Well, mate, it's not rocket science. It's not. But it's just difficult to do. It's just difficult to do. Mate, even when I'm dealing with your case, even when I'm dealing with anyone's case, if something comes up, this weekend's been a nightmare. Right? With stuff coming up, professionals overstepping their boundaries, yeah, big time. You don't understand. So literally, I get it, and I write this stuff down. I'm writing shit, and I get a little bit too emotional, and then I say to them, if it's too much, take some stuff out. Do you know what I mean? Take some stuff out. They're fine with it. They send it, but the professionals, they don't fucking like it when I'm giving it back to them. Yeah, and we're telling it straight. But then we still have to play the same game. We can't have an argument about everything all the time. And even when we're arguing with them, I'm still being nice to them. I'm showing them respect still while I'm arguing with them, and that's what pisses them off even more because I'm being direct. They hate the fact that I'm so direct, and then they've got nothing to say.
Well, you put the world's most fantastic statement in, right? And you make every valid point possible, yeah. And all of a sudden,
they'll still pop it off. Yeah. Same as, mate, I've had transcripts saying this is racism going on here. Racism. Transcripts of pure racism from Facebook Messenger. Judge's like, no, I don't see any racism there. What do you mean you don't see any racism there? It's littered with the shit. Yeah,
how can any court case, though, right? How can they rule something, yeah, and then go back on it in the next hearing? But I know someone that obviously they said that he could have parental responsibility because he went on the birth certificate. And then he went to the next hearing, and the judge was like, "No, that never happened." Because
show me something that backs that up with facts, and I would.
But you can't you? But what you do is you get the transcript, don't you? And you apply for it through the courts because they're all recorded.
Yeah, even transcripts, mate. Even transcripts. Some transcripts I've not been able to get. They make it so difficult for you to get.
There you go. And
so there's good men, there's bad men. There's good women, there's bad women. There's good judges, there's bad judges. There's good parts of the world to live in, there's bad parts of the world to live in. That's life. That's life.
I know.
Yeah, but you letting them get to you. You letting them get to you is that's playing by their rules. That's doing things their way. That's
I hope they look at me and they go, "I want to take you down." I go, "Yeah, no problem. What have I got to lose?"
Exactly.
Nothing.
The reality is, mate. But I'd much rather have nothing to lose because I'm in a stronger position when I've nothing to lose. Yeah, because I've got nothing to lose.
Jace, you know what they say? They said never fuck with a guy who's got nothing to lose.
Yeah. Mate, I've
got my foundations. No matter what, say like I lose my business. Yeah, I've got my foundations. I know how I built it, and I can get back there. They can never take your foundations away. They take your kids away. But that's their control.
They do things to make sure that they hurt you. I do believe there's people we're like The Sims, the game of The Sims. I do believe we're like someone's controlling what goes on around us. Yeah, whether it be how much money gets in the bank, whether someone gets impregnated or whatever. I just think that it's all a big farce. Yeah.
Hi. I think we should just say they're worse than parking wardens.
But they are.
They are.
I went out for a drink with the parking warden the other week. Actually, she was a nice
I
person.
know a couple of decent ones.
Maybe ultimately though, that's with everything. You can't. We as I'm emotional. I'm passionate. I'm impulsive. You have to have coping mechanisms to be able to get through that stuff.
Yeah. You shouldn't though, should you?
But you shouldn't have to. But you have to.
It shouldn't be like this.
It shouldn't be like this, but it is like this. There should be no racism in the world, but there's racism in the world. There should be no hate in the world, but there's hate in the world. Because we're taught that. What we're taught is what we do. Same as when look, you being angry, right? Get this is how this is a head fuck, right? You being angry, what are you teaching your kids?
That emotion's good.
No. That you're being angry. So you're teaching them anger. Yeah, so you're teaching them hate. So it's a massive cycle. It's a massive cycle. So they make you angry, so you're going to be angry. So you're going to teach your kids to be angry. It's a massive cycle. So then your kids are going to get angry. Why do you think the kids are looting and do what they do now?
Would you want your kids to just bend over though? I wouldn't.
Mate, there's bending over and there's bending over and there's being respectful. Yeah, and the kids today, in my view, like teenagers and whatever, they don't give a shit. They don't care. Lila doesn't care. Lila's been out and like done all sorts of stuff, and she told me about it. They don't care. And look at Lila's a prime example. She goes to school 10 o'clock. I'm having to give Lila, I'm doing a thing with Lila to make sure I'm paying her to go to school. Yeah, but literally,
she got you wrapped, mate.
As long as she goes to school, that's all I care for, right? As long as that's all I care for. But what am I doing? Her mum has lost control. Her mum doesn't know. She's got no respect for her mum, but she loves her mum at the same time.
So maybe right, we could get this brought forward that when you start process, you get a little sheet with your rights on there and just explaining the process.
Well, it's not really too difficult to understand. They don't want you to like if people went through court process, right? Taking responsibility for the two people in a relationship, two people make a baby, two people separate. Yeah, it's both of your faults. No matter which way you look at it, both of you have contributed to the downfall of that relationship. Yeah, both of you. In my relationship, it is the same. Every relationship is the same because of lack of communication. That's why the relationship's ended, right? So why can't people go into court and say, you know what, it's my fault here, and here, and the other person say, yeah, you know what, it's my fault here and here and here, because the emotion, because we're human, because that's who we are, that's how we're built, and that's how we've been taught. That's how we've been programmed, that we react and do things the way that we do. And the system allows it. And then because the system allows it, that's why it doesn't. That's what happens. If the system didn't allow it, and all you can do is try and combat that the best way you can by being by not being what they try to make you out to be. And they try to make it out to be you, me, ogres of the world. Yeah. Fucking worse.
That's my favourite one. That's my favourite one from today though, in the comments, from all the like pro well, actually, the anti-me, that's a better one. Oh, they're making you be like that and you're proving it. Oh, fuck off. Have a day off.
Mate, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing.
But do I care?
No, listen, you do care. Yes, you do care. Yes, you do care. Yes, you do care. Because you just get back to your kids. Because if you didn't care, then you would be angry.
No convictions. Oh, but look, fuck off, mate. If I was a criminal, and I was as bad as they say I am, I'd be in jail.
Mate. It's not about being a criminal, right? It's not about being a criminal. What they're doing, the solicitors, what they've done to get a reaction out of you is textbook, and you're reacting to exactly how they want to. And you're saying, "Why do I care? Do I care?" Well, yes, you do care. You say you don't care, but you wouldn't be moaning about it, or you'd be so upset about it if you didn't care.
Yeah, but it's boring, isn't it?
Boring.
Do you know what I mean? Oh, I've just said something to upset you. Now look at you. You're exactly what they say you are. Oh, fuck off.
Mate, no. How you react enforces what they say. Based on probability. Based on probables.
Did he? What did he say? Chase, read the comments.
Which one? I can't see him.
Have a look at my boyfriend on there.
I can't see him. 1 sec.
Someone who doesn't like Darren commenting.
Okay.
Saying you're illiterate.
Illiterate? Yeah, whatever. I'm illiterate apparently, but I earn 5 times what he does here, Jace. Remember that?
Who are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Elliot. Calling me illiterate. He's probably never seen the money I have in his life, mate. Tosser.
Oh, stop it. Right. I don't know. Time's a
You
quick
know what I
question
mean?
about anime, which explained
I'm
about a month
illiterate,
ago.
but I drive a Porsche. I have a day off, mate, innit?
Do you suggest without any degree in the claims?
I mean, to be as successful as me and be illiterate, I think I'm doing all right, mate, really.
Well, mate, question. Look. It's not
You know
about.
what I mean?
It's not about attacking. It's not about attacking. That's not why we're doing this live anyway. So you stick to the point. And again, you're reacting. So you just. It's not worth.
Yeah,
it's
you're
not
right.
worth the negative energy. Yeah. You let yourself go down that road. You don't have to let yourself go down that road. Do you know how many people slag me off and fucking like a day or it's probably someone slagging me off now. The amount of people on my Facebook page, my personal page, that are on there just to see me fail. Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. The only person that matters is me. To me.
But if you hate me that much, why are you watching me?
He's not. No one hates you. No one hates you. No one hates you. No one hates you. I was arrested twice for the same week for false breach of non-mol. Both times was contact days. Yeah, that's manipulation of non-mol. That happens all the time. I have people arrested on Christmas Day, Christmas Eve. Yeah, they've been arrested for leaving cards on an anniversary card that was left on the side after leaving the house. Got arrested for that.
Jace, I'd say Tyson Fury was illiterate. He's pretty successful as well.
What's that got to do with the price of onions?
Exactly, my friend.
Well, who's living there? You're living there. I don't look. When you see something you don't like, just don't give it the negative energy. It's not worth the response. If it doesn't make you feel good, then don't fucking go there. If you know it's gonna make you feel shit, then you ignore it. Because what you're doing then is you radiate your negativity, so you bring the negativity back into you.
Yeah.
People are gonna. You're gonna go do a live. You're going to do a live, right? You're gonna have people having opinions of you. You're gonna have people disagreeing with you. You have people not agreeing with what you're saying. That's part of it. You can't be like worried about what their opinion. You've got your opinion. You've got your beliefs. You've got your structure. You've got what you do and who you are. The only person that's allowed to judge you is you. But you allow yourself. You allow yourself the solicitors to get under your skin. You allow your ex to get under your skin. You allow these anything you don't like the sound of. You allow it to get underneath your skin. Yeah,
I know.
You can't change the system. The system's not right or fair, but you can't allow the system to get under your skin. Because I promise you said to me you wanted to work with me because
I remember his open line was the system's not broken. So why are you on this page?
No, the system is not. It is. I get what you're saying. I get what he's saying because it's not broken. If it is used on the purposes that it's intended to protect the children without being manipulated, like this poor guy is in here with his non-moral stuff. Like literally, the system's set up to allow manipulation of it. But if it's used for the purpose that it's intended, then it's absolutely the right thing. Because you put in the child.
But say that to all the men that have taken their lives, Jace, because they've got.
No. You're hearing part of my sentence. You're not hearing all my sentence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If it's been manipulated by the women, it's allowed because the system is set up to be allowed to be manipulated. But if it's been manipulated, that's when that's people taking advantage of the system. If it's by the intent,
but that makes it broken.
It means it's fixed. It doesn't mean it's broken. It means it's damaged. Yeah, it's damaged. I totally agree, mate. It's not right. I can't defend it. I'm not defending it. I'm saying is if your child was at risk of serious risk, of harm, and from her mum, because I've got cases where the mums are so by your ex. Imagine this, and the system's then set up to protect your daughter. Is that not then? It's a working system then, is it? It works then.
That's why I felt so let down by obviously I've had a lot to do with social service, not to do with my daughter, but other things. Because, for example, I had a mate that's an alcoholic, and social services failed him. I can't believe that they've failed people, and I know about cases that involve social.
But again, you're right, and you can't argue with what you're saying. But people are human. And
Nah,
people, you take pride in what you do with your job, with your ice cream van, with your when you're doing your previous jobs that we spoke about. You take pride in what you do. You've got an immense amount of pride in what you do, yeah, and how you work and your working ethos and and what you stand for as an individual and as a person. Yeah, that's important to you, and rightly so, because you've got some really good fucking ethoses and fucking practices, really good, because you're a good person at heart. Yeah, but
I'll pay you
ultimately.
later.
No, yeah, because you genuinely are. But ultimately, you let the emotion of the moment take over you, take you over, and that's something that everyone can work on. Because if I can do it, then anyone can do it.
Yeah,
But I do. But the reason I do it is, and the reason I did it, and the reason because everyone was saying it to me. Everyone was saying it to me that I was impulsive and not thinking before I speak, and I would offend people. I would offend people. But then that offensive nature to people outside in the real world in court was a lot worse. Now, why do you think my case went on for so long? My case went on for so long because I behaved so bad. You want in and out of there, you get what you get done. That's the reality. And then, but then when you in there for a long time because you're fighting it, you're naturally going to be saying negative stuff about it because you're fighting it.
Yeah, but who failed who in that case?
The system. Well, in that case, who failed in terms of the system? Mate, the system's set up to fail. The system is set up to everything that we do is controlled by someone, something, somewhere. Yeah, above the government, above wherever. So the system is set up to make sure that there is conflict, to make sure that there is anger, to make sure. So what you're doing is you're feeding into it. You're feeding into the matrix. That's what you're doing. Yeah, that's what it is. But by doing just something differently and giving love, which is no one is, which very few people are doing, then you're going to get a different result.
My baby's awake.
Oh, well, you better go and do that because while you do that, I'm going to answer these questions because there's a few questions in there. But look, I respect you for coming on and doing this tonight as well. And I think for the longest amount of time, we've had like highest sort of like people sitting and watching as well. So anything that you're saying and your viewpoints are valid. But I just think with different words and different emotional ways of dealing with it, you get different results.
Come there. I know, mate. Right.
Anyway, I'm going to answer some of these and then
I'll see you soon.
I'll see you soon, mate. Take it easy, yeah?
Bye. You too.
Bye. Right, so let me answer some of these. So 1 sec. Right, yeah, only fit for purpose when you give it to the resident parent. Okay, so I don't necessarily agree with that, actually, Emily. I think it's fit for purpose. You're missing the point. People are only hearing part of my sentence. They're only hearing part of what I say. And you're picking the parts that are easy to argue. You're picking holes in that. So what I'm saying is, if your child was at risk and it was at risk of real bad sexual harm or harm of some sort of way, then the system is set up to protect the child. When there are female victims, and there are female victims and mothers of victims, serious victims of domestic abuse and domestic violence, and there are legitimately men that have just literally, I mean, I know of cases where women have been made to eat glass, eat glass, yeah, man. So you get all sorts of nasty people out there, and yes, you get nasty women. But when the cases where, and I get it favours the mum, and the women and children, but ultimately, when you get serious cases that are really serious, and I don't think people realise how serious things can be, and especially how scary that is for a woman and a mum and a child who are real victims. We make out, and you were saying here that it's always, men are always innocent, and that's not the case. That's not the case, yeah. And I think we get a lot of it on the group where we say, this and that and this wrong and whatever. That's a bit of a small portion. We're 5,000, 6,000 people in a whole world, with not even a tiny little bit of stop. Yeah, and the reality is, what happens is textbook, and there are and I can see it, and I like to think I can see when people telling the truth and when they're lying, and I think there's a lot of cases where we, as myself included, we don't take enough responsibility, and we don't do what we need to do, be honest enough and pure enough, which is what I learned, that once you do that, you take away the argument, and you're going into the unknown, you take away the argument, and it defuses everything. That doesn't mean that they're going to start being nice to you back. Definitely not. 10 years of my ex-wife still not, being the way she is. That's never going to change. But if she wants to be angry, then she can be angry. If you choose to be angry, then you choose to be angry. And when I'm saying to people, fit for purpose. Trust me, Emily. If you were in fear of your life and there was a crazy man attacking you, then you'd be, and then you wanted protection. Then I think the system is then set up for purpose. It's fixed. It's good. But when the people are manipulating the system and they're ruined, and that's when you're always going to get that in any single walk of life, in any single thing you do, people will manipulate stuff, and that's what causes the trouble. So, Ed, if you have time, ask questions anyway, which expired a month ago. She fled the UK and court proceedings suspended. What's happened with it? It's passed. It's gone. So it's dismissed. It's gone. So you've done it. It's spent time. It's done. So I took the individual. McGill. It's right now. Okay, so successful claims. Okay, think of your child, Dan. I was arrested twice for the same week for false. This is Chris. Yeah. So literally, I hate it when that happens. I hate it when that happens. I was never arrested, but I got close to being arrested for what I was able to prove off the back of breaching my court order, breaching my non-mol. But I never admitted to breaching my non-mol, but I just did that. So that's done. So both times, yeah. This is what I say. I mean, if you're taking an undertaking on non-mol, try and get an cross undertaking. So you're worried that the other side is going to manipulate the non-molestation application and get you in trouble for things that are just everyday mundane stuff. Like, you can't help it if you're shopping in Asda and you walk past her in Asda and the kids come running to you, and then suddenly you're getting arrested because that's happened. That's not your fault. That's not breach of the court order. That's not breach of the non-mol. If the kids come running to you, she has, that's the degree in which people will go to. Both times to sit on contract. Yeah. So you've got to literally watch yourself. Even when you've got the non-mol in place, protect yourself all the time. So family courts, in charge of Jordan. Okay. Okay, so look, yeah, so Matt there, 1 year and 6 months through the family courts, and that's, and even then he was saying that was too much, and it was too much for what was going on there. But we got it done, and we got it dusted, and we got it moved out in that amount of time, which again says lots about Matt and the type of person that he is to be able to tolerate what he's had to tolerate, because my methods are not easy, that's for sure, because they do take the fact that you have to take an emotional kicking. You will be getting abused. I believe that we get abused emotionally and psychologically throughout the process, because the intent is there from the other side. The first was Kafka's no father safeguarding concern. What's this? Okay, I can't see your names, so Kafka's father safeguarding at the time. The second was a drug test I did and wasn't filed. I think it's solicitor. Third on Section 7 report. Then in 2 weeks, the father, and I heard nothing from them. 3/4 of tier 2. This person, whoever this is, needs to give me a shout, and then I need to understand the situation in more detail. But this next one, 1 year and 6 months first. Matt, so but why is that one here then? I don't know. But look, it's my hour's done. My hour is done. I'm very strict on my timekeeping at the moment because I've got so much work to get on with. So look, anyone who is currently live with me, then I'm available on the phone now. Anyone who is not currently live with me but would like to be, then drop me an email, drop me a text, or give me a call. I can't get to the phone. If I don't get to the phone, send me a text message or send me an email, and then I will get back to people. I can't get back to everyone. I'm trying to get back to everyone. I'm trying to, but I've got volunteers that are trying to as well, and I'm educating, and I'm educated to better ask questions and understand situations in detail, and make sure that you're not repeating yourself, which should you have to speak to me or anyone else after that. And that's that. Peace and love, light as love. Do you know what? It's not easy, right? Everything I say is much easier said than done. Much easier said than done. And it's like the system is set up to bring out the worst of your emotions. That's for sure. But you've got to take this journey that you're on, and then you've got to try and find some positives in there. And the only way that you're going to find positives from this journey is if you look at the flaws that you find that you've got with yourself and try and make them better while going through this process. And that in itself is not easy when you're homeless, not seeing your kids, not feeling like could lose your job, trying to hold down your job. It's not easy, but it's the same principle as if you have nothing and you keep giving it away, the world will give something back to you. Yeah, I totally believe that. I totally believe that. So keep giving love to each other, keep giving empathy, keep giving respect. Remember the rules. My rules are like own your shit, be humble, remain child focused, compromise, sacrifice are really, really important. But they're the core principles, yeah. And if you follow those to the wording, then ultimately your case will not need a solicitor, and you will be rosy by the end of it all. It's the process that takes the time. If you could make that a lot smaller, that'd be all good. Anyway, peace and love, Lila's glove, and I'll be off.